Did you know that the average family wastes a significant amount of money on expired food every single year, throwing away hard-earned cash that could be put to better use? It is a staggering statistic, but what if you were told that there are 30 incredible foods that virtually never expire when stored correctly? Today, we are revealing an ultimate stockpile list designed to save families thousands in grocery costs over time and ensure preparedness for almost any situation. The best part about this list is that you likely already have the very first items sitting in your kitchen right now. Before diving in, consider the immense value of rethinking how you approach your pantry, turning it into a long-term asset rather than just a weekly rotation of perishable goods. Let's get started with the most surprising item on our list. 1. Let's start with a fundamental kitchen staple that has been feeding civilizations across the globe for over 5,000 years: white rice. According to recent studies by major agricultural research institutes, properly stored white rice can literally outlive a human being. It sounds mind-blowing, but the science behind it is sound. Unlike brown rice, white rice lacks the outer bran layer. This bran layer contains oils that eventually turn rancid, causing brown rice to spoil relatively quickly. White rice, having that layer removed, is essentially nature's perfect survival food. Archaeologists have actually found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still perfectly edible. Yes, you heard that right. It was still good after 3 millennia. What makes honey eternal is basically nature's perfect chemical formula. According to recent research, raw honey contains 3 distinct superpowers. It's extremely low in moisture, highly acidic, and it produces natural hydrogen peroxide. This combination creates an environment where practically no bacteria or microorganisms can survive or reproduce. Considering a large 50-pound bag of white rice is incredibly affordable today, providing about 500 servings of pure carbohydrate energy, it comes out to mere pennies per serving for food that never expires. In times when food prices are skyrocketing, this is honestly a no-brainer investment. Furthermore, despite popular belief, recent studies show white rice can actually be part of a healthy diet when paired properly with protein and vegetables for long-term energy. 2. Let's talk about dried beans, a true survival superfood that has been making headlines lately for its incredible shelf life. Research from major universities has confirmed that properly stored dried beans can last upwards of 30 years while maintaining their nutritional value. That is not just impressive, it is absolutely game-changing for long-term planning. But here's what they often do not tell you at the grocery store. Those plastic bags your beans come in are terrible for long-term storage. You need to ditch them immediately and transfer the beans to airtight glass containers or mylar bags with oxygen absorbers. This simple switch can double or triple their shelf life. Trust in the fact that future generations could potentially be eating these same beans. Just 1 cup of dried beans packs more protein than 3 eggs, and they are loaded with fiber, essential minerals, and something called resistant starch, which is a superhero compound for your gut health. With meat prices rising significantly year after year, more people are wisely switching to beans as a primary protein source. When you do the math on the cost per serving, the savings are serious. The golden rule for beans is cool, dark, and dry. Your beans' worst enemies are heat and moisture. Keep them below 75 degrees Fahrenheit and away from heat sources like your stove. Basement shelves are perfect, while the space above the fridge is a big mistake due to the heat generated by the appliance. 3. Now let's talk about nature's liquid gold, raw honey. This is something truly mind-blowing, as archaeologists have actually found 3,000-year-old honey in Egyptian tombs that was still perfectly edible. Yes, you heard that right, it was still good after 3 millennia. What makes honey eternal is basically nature's perfect chemical formula. According to recent research, raw honey contains 3 distinct superpowers. It's extremely low in moisture, highly acidic, and it produces natural hydrogen peroxide. This combination creates an environment where practically no bacteria or microorganisms can survive or A recent study revealed that raw honey contains over 181 different compounds that help fight bacteria, which is why medical-grade honey is even used in some hospitals for wound dressing. But wait, there is a catch. Not all honey is created equal. That cheap teddy bear-shaped squeeze bottle from the discount store is likely not what we are talking about. You need raw, unprocessed honey. Look specifically for labels that say unpasteurized or raw. Store your honey in a sealed glass jar at room temperature. If it crystallizes over time, do not panic. That is actually a sign of pure, high-quality honey. Just place the jar in warm water and it will slowly return to its glorious liquid form. 4. Next up is pure maple syrup. And trust that this is not just your regular pancake topping. Recent studies have found that pure maple syrup contains over 67 different antioxidants. That is right, this sweet survival food is actually good for you in moderation. The incredible part is that unopened pure maple syrup literally never goes bad when stored properly in a glass container. The secret lies in its low water content and high sugar concentration, which naturally prevent bacterial growth. However, most people get this wrong by buying artificial pancake syrup. You need pure maple syrup, not the stuff loaded with high fructose corn syrup and artificial flavors. Look for labels that explicitly state 100% pure maple syrup. Unlike fake syrups, real maple syrup is packed with minerals like manganese and zinc. A crucial storage tip learned by many the hard way is to keep unopened bottles sealed at room temperature. Once opened, however, you must refrigerate it. The cold temperature prevents the potential growth of harmless molds that can sometimes form on the surface of open sugary liquids. If you ever see sugar crystals forming at the bottom, don't panic, that's normal and safe. You can just warm the syrup gently to dissolve them. A great money-saving hack is to stock up during maple season and early spring when prices drop significantly, buying directly from local producers if possible. Unlike honey, maple syrup doesn't generally crystallize into a solid mass, making it perfect for easy long-term food storage. 5. Let's talk about the sweetest survival food, white sugar. We are not just talking about satisfying candy cravings here. Scientists have confirmed what archaeologists discovered years ago, perfectly preserved sugar in ancient storage sites. That is right, sugar, thousands of years old, is still usable. The fascinating science behind this is that sugar creates what we call a hostile environment for bacteria via osmosis. It's like a natural fortress. Bacteria and microorganisms cannot survive because sugar literally pulls the water right out of them, dehydrating and killing them. It's a pretty cool natural defense system. While regular white sugar lasts forever, theoretically, storing it properly makes a huge difference in its usability. A trick learned from professional pastry chefs is to use an airtight container with a silica gel packet. This prevents those annoying rock-hard lumps from forming due to humidity. During research, it was discovered that sugar isn't just for sweetening, it's actually a crucial preservation tool in itself. You can use it to make emergency preserved fruits that last for months because the high sugar concentration locks out bacteria, keeping foods safe longer. A trending money-saving tip is to buy sugar in bulk during holiday baking sales when prices are lowest. Just make sure you have those large, airtight buckets ready for transfer. 6. Let's talk about perhaps the most overlooked survival food in your kitchen, salt. We are not just talking about any salt, but pure sodium chloride. Research confirms that pure salt can literally outlast human civilization. Archaeologists have found salt deposits used by ancient cultures that are thousands of years old and still perfectly usable. But here's what most people do not realize. Salt doesn't just season your food. In a prolonged crisis, it becomes your best friend for biological reasons. First, your body absolutely needs it to survive. Without sufficient sodium, your nervous system literally cannot function correctly. Second, it's nature's oldest known preservative. Before mechanical refrigerators, our ancestors used salt almost exclusively to keep meat and fish edible for months. A quick tip that could save your stockpile is to store it in an airtight container strictly away from moisture. If it clumps together, do not panic. It's still perfectly safe to use, just harder to measure. A game-changing hack to prevent clumping is to sprinkle a few grains of dry rice into your salt shaker or container. The rice absorbs any excess moisture before the salt does. The best part is that a large bag of pure salt is incredibly cheap and can last multiple lifetimes.
7. Here's something you might not expect on a survival list. Hard liquor. We are not suggesting you stockpile it for a party. The science behind this as a survival item is fascinating. Pure spirits like vodka, whiskey, and rum have such a high alcohol content, typically 40% or higher, that they create an environment where bacteria simply cannot survive. Recent studies confirm that properly sealed liquor bottles can maintain their quality indefinitely. But here is what most people do not think about. In survival situations, hard liquor becomes a versatile tool, not a beverage. Think about it as a multi-purpose liquid. It can be used as a natural disinfectant for wounds if absolutely nothing else is available, as the alcohol content is strong enough to kill most harmful bacteria. Historically, medical professionals used spirits to sterilize equipment when other options weren't available. A trending tip from emergency preparedness experts is that clear spirits like vodka are generally recommended over dark liquors for survival kits because they are more versatile for cleaning or medicinal purposes and do not have added sugars, colors, or flavorings that might interfere. Keep your bottles stored upright in a cool, dark place. Remember that once opened, while they will not spoil in a dangerous way, they might slowly lose some potency over several years due to evaporation if the seal isn't perfect. 8. Let me tell you something fascinating about white vinegar. Back in early 2024, researchers discovered that this incredibly cheap kitchen staple is actually more effective at certain types of food preservation than many modern expensive chemicals. But that is just the beginning of its usefulness. Did you know that vinegar's acetic acid content is so stable that usable vinegar has been found in sealed vessels that are thousands of years old? It literally outlasted entire civilizations. Here's why white vinegar is a prepper's best friend. First, it is completely self-preserving. The acetic acid creates an acidic environment where no bacteria or mold can survive. It is essentially nature's immortality potion for liquids. Furthermore, white vinegar can preserve other foods for significantly longer when used in pickling vegetables or making marinades. Now let's talk about cleaning. That same acid that keeps it forever fresh kills a massive percentage of surface bacteria. Plus, mixing it with baking soda creates a chemical reaction that breaks down grease better than many expensive commercial cleaners. A money-saving secret is to buy it in bulk gallons, which cost very little and replace dozens of dollars worth of cleaning products. Always get distilled white vinegar with at least 5% acidity. Store it in its original container at room temperature, away from direct sunlight, and it will stay perfect literally forever. 9. Now here is something fascinating about pure vanilla extract. We are not talking about the artificial imitation stuff. Recent studies show that pure vanilla extract actually gets better with age, much like a fine wine. The compounds that give vanilla its rich, complex flavor, mainly vanillin, remain stable indefinitely. That is right, it literally cannot go bad. But here is the catch that most people get wrong. It must be pure vanilla extract with at least 35% alcohol content. That alcohol base is the key to its immortality, acting as the preservative. The cheap imitation stuff will degrade in flavor within a year or two. A quick tip from professional chefs is to always store it in a dark glass bottle away from sunlight, as UV rays are vanilla's primary enemy. A money-saving hack that is trending right now is to make your own. You can split vanilla beans, soak them in vodka for a few months, and boom, you have pure extract that will last forever at a fraction of the retail cost. High-end restaurants often keep decades-old vanilla because the flavor gets more complex over time. If you are going to invest in vanilla for a long-term stockpile, always go pure. Your future self will thank you for it. 10. Now let's talk about something sitting in your pantry that is more valuable than you think. Cornstarch. According to studies on food preservation, cornstarch is one of the most underrated survival foods because this simple white powder literally lasts forever when stored properly. Think about this. Ancient tombs have contained usable starches that were thousands of years old. Here's the game changer. It's not just for thickening your gravy. Preppers and survival experts are now stockpiling cornstarch for its multiple non-food uses. Did you know you can use it as an emergency dry shampoo for oily hair or create a natural anti-chafing powder? Even doctors sometimes recommend it for soothing minor skin irritations. But here is the crucial part regarding storage. Keep it in an absolutely airtight container away from moisture.
Even one drop of water can ruin your entire supply by causing mold growth. A professional tip is to add a silica gel packet to your cornstarch container. This tiny investment can protect your stockpile for decades.
Cornstarch is often considered more stable than flour for thickening sauces over long periods, creating a clearer result that never develops an old taste. A quick warning though, the market is flooded with mixed versions, so always check the label to ensure pure cornstarch is what you're buying for indefinite shelf life. 11. Now let me blow your mind about instant coffee, because this is not just your average morning pick-me-up in a crisis. Picture this. Scientists recently tested sealed instant coffee that was 30 years old, and guess what? It was practically identical in caffeine content and flavor to fresh samples. That is mind-blowing stability. Each jar is like a gold mine of caffeine insurance. We're talking about roughly 100 cups per standard container, making it incredibly cheap per cup. Talk about inflation-proof coffee. But wait, there is a survival hack learned from military veterans that will surprise you. You can mix instant coffee with honey and spices to create an incredible meat rub that can transform even the blandest emergency food rations into something tasty. Plus, you can sprinkle the grounds around your garden as many insects hate the acidity and caffeine. Seriously, one jar is like having multiple tools in your survival kit. 12. Speaking of survival superfoods, let's talk about dark chocolate's hidden powers. The latest research has dropped a bombshell. High-quality dark chocolate is not just surviving long-term storage. It can sometimes develop deeper flavor profiles over the first year or two when stored properly. Think of it as nature's energy bar on steroids. A standard bar packs significant antioxidants and enough dense calories to fuel a considerable amount of activity in emergency situations. Here's a secret. Vacuum-sealed dark chocolate stored in a cool, stable environment like a basement can last for many years, much longer than the best buy date suggests. Proof exists in personal stockpiles where chocolate stored for 4 or 5 years remains perfectly edible. Just remember the golden rule. Keep it cool, ideally below 65 degrees Fahrenheit, away from light, and don't even think about storing it in the fridge, as condensation will ruin it when brought out. 13. Prepare yourself for a mind-blowing experience with soy sauce. Remember those ancient sealed vessels mentioned earlier? Well, here's the kicker. When scientists tested thousands of years old soy sauce found in archaeological digs, they found active beneficial compounds still present. Modern soy sauce is even more impressive due to consistent manufacturing. The natural fermentation process creates a high-salt, acidic environment that actually fights off harmful bacteria. It's like having a bottle of liquid preservation magic in your pantry. But my favorite part is that homesteaders are now using premium soy sauce as their secret weapon for bland emergency food. A single tablespoon can transform a plain bowl of rice into something savory and satisfying. Plus, many traditional brands are a legitimate source of essential minerals. Just one bottle can elevate hundreds of meals, and the best part is it doesn't need refrigeration even after opening. Just keep it tightly sealed in the pantry and you're good to go for literally decades. 14. Now let's talk about 2 pantry game changers that most people overlook. First up are bouillon cubes. Think of them as your flavor security blanket. Recent studies show these little flavor bombs can actually maintain over 90% of their potency even after several years past their printed dates. The cool part is, one tiny cube packs intense flavor punch but takes up barely any space. Just imagine making instant soups, stews, or adding rich flavor to plain rice or pasta when fresh ingredients are not an option. A professional tip is to store them in a jar with a silica gel packet, as humidity is the only thing that degrades them quickly. This keeps moisture away and extends shelf life even further. 15. Now let's discuss dried corn. This is not just your average popcorn kernel's cousin. Ancient civilizations knew something we're just rediscovering. When dried properly to a low moisture content, this grain literally lasts forever. Archaeological digs have found viable corn in storage sites that are over 1,000 years old. A quick hack learned from prepper experts is to mix a few dried bay leaves into your container of dried corn. It naturally repels insects like weevils and helps maintain freshness. Plus, dried corn is incredibly versatile. You can grind it for cornmeal, rehydrate it for side dishes, or even process it further.
Modern sustainability research shows dried corn has one of the lowest carbon footprints among storable grains, making it a go-to for environmentally conscious preppers. 16. Let's dive into amazing kitchen staples that aren't just survivors, they are practically immortal. Picture this: archaeologists cracking open ancient Egyptian tombs and finding something unexpected among the treasures: perfectly preserved baking soda. Fast forward to today, and scientists are still amazed by this humble powder's chemical stability. But here's what's really cool. Baking soda is more than just a permanent pantry resident. It's a miracle worker with dozens of different uses, from leavening bread to serving as a toothpaste alternative, unclogging drains, or even fighting minor grease fires. It's like having a superhero in powder form. A professional tip is to keep one box sealed for cooking and another separate one for cleaning purposes. Just remember that moisture is its kryptonite, so keep it sealed absolutely tight in a plastic or glass container, not just the cardboard box it comes in. 17. Now let's talk about those little black pearls of flavor, peppercorns. Ever wondered why ancient spice traders got so rich dealing in these tiny gems? Here's a fact. Marine archaeologists recently discovered sunken shipwrecks from centuries ago carrying peppercorns that still packed their spicy punch after being underwater for hundreds of years in sealed amphora. That's not just impressive, it's practically magical. But wait, it gets better. Recent studies show that whole peppercorns contain piperine, a compound that not only preserves their flavor, but also aids in nutrient absorption in the body. Switching completely to whole peppercorns and grinding them fresh makes an insane difference in taste compared to pre-ground pepper, which loses its potency quickly. Store them in a clear glass jar, and they're not just functional, they're beautiful kitchen decor that lasts indefinitely. 18. Finally, let's discuss pasta, but not just any pasta story. Did you know that researchers have found sealed packages of pasta from the World War II era that were still perfectly edible decades later? The science behind this is fascinating. When pasta is dried commercially to below 12% moisture content and kept away from oxygen and pests, it creates an incredible time capsule effect. Research indicates that properly stored pasta, especially when vacuum sealed, can maintain its nutritional value for an exceptionally long time, far exceeding its typical best-by date of a few years. Vacuum seal bags act as a secret weapon here, perfect for keeping pasta fresh and free from pantry bugs for 10, 15, or even 20 years. 19. Coconut oil is a true survival superhero. A fascinating recent study in food preservation journals revealed something mind-blowing. This oil can maintain its quality for years, even in challenging conditions. But here's what most people do not know. Its unique saturated fat structure, specifically the medium-chain fatty acids, actually makes it vastly more stable against rancidity than almost any other cooking oil, like vegetable or canola oil. Many people have used the same large jar for over 2 years with zero degradation. The real game changer is coconut oil's versatility beyond cooking. It's becoming a go-to for emergency preparedness experts because it can be used as a deeply moisturizing skin balm, a lip salve, and even as an emergency fuel source for makeshift wick lamps. Plus, its natural antimicrobial properties make it a fantastic addition to a first aid kit. Store it in an amber glass jar at room temperature, and you have yourself a multi-purpose powerhouse. 21. Now let's spill the tea about green tea, and trust that this is huge. Recent market analysis shows tea prices rising due to global agricultural shifts affecting harvests. But here's the silver lining. Sealed green tea can maintain its catechins, those powerful antioxidants it's famous for several years. Scientists just discovered that storing green tea in a freezer can extend its antioxidant potency even further than room temperature storage. Here's a mind-blowing fact. A single cup of properly stored high-quality green tea can contain immense antioxidant benefits. The top tip for storage is to use silica gel packets in your airtight storage container or mylar bag to ensure absolutely zero moisture gets in, which is a game changer for maintaining freshness. 22. Let's talk about popcorn kernels, those tiny time travelers that pack a serious punch. Imagine this. Archaeologists have uncovered popcorn kernels in Peru that were thousands of years old and, incredibly, were still capable of popping.
That is not just ancient history, it is living proof of nature's perfect design for preservation. Modern studies show these grain kernels have a hard outer shell that protects the starchy interior and a tiny amount of moisture inside, remaining stable for decades. Here's a mind-blowing fact. Popcorn is a whole grain, and one serving contains significant fiber and antioxidants. A favorite storage hack is to grab a mason jar, add a food-grade silica packet to ensure the moisture level stays exactly right for popping, and seal it tight. Your kernels will stay fresh enough to pop perfectly even during power outages over a camp stove, providing instant comfort food anytime. 23. Now let me tell you about pure ghee, the golden elixir that has been a staple in some cultures for millennia. Ancient texts mention ghee lasting for 100 years, and modern science is finally catching up to explain why. A groundbreaking recent study revealed that ghee's unique process, which involves simmering butter to remove all water and milk solids, creates a pure fat structure that is virtually immune to oxidation and rancidity when kept sealed. That means it does not go bad like regular butter. But here's what most people do not know. Many believe ghee actually gets better with age, with flavor compounds concentrating over time to become more aromatic. Plus, it's a nutritional powerhouse packed with fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. During recent global supply chain issues, ghee became a favorite among preppers because it provides dense calories and doesn't need refrigeration. 24. Let's talk about the unsung hero, powdered milk. This is not your grandparents' awful-tasting powdered milk anymore. The latest freeze-drying technology has revolutionized this pantry staple, vastly improving flavor and texture. Government researchers have found that modern, low-fat powdered milk retains enormous percentages of its nutritional value, even after decades in proper storage. Here's a game-changing tip for using it. Mix it with an equal part of regular milk for a protein boost that kids won't even notice, stretching your fresh milk supply. Emergency preparedness experts now recommend storing a significant amount per person for calcium and protein needs during prolonged emergencies. An insider secret is to sprinkle some powdered milk into coffee or hot chocolate. It creates an incredibly creamy texture without watering it down. 25. Let's start with hard candy, and trust that this is not just about having something sweet. Recent scientific studies from food preservation experts found something incredible. Hard candies stored since the World War II era were still perfectly safe to eat decades later. The secret lies in their chemistry. When sugar is heated to the hard crack stage and cooled, it creates an environment with virtually zero moisture, meaning bacteria and mold cannot grow. But here's the game changer. In recent years, emergency response teams worldwide have started including specific hard candies in survival kits. Why? They discovered that varieties like peppermint and butterscotch not only provide a quick spike of glucose for energy in a crisis, but peppermint oil can also help significantly with nausea and motion sickness. Store them in mason jars with silica packets to prevent them from getting sticky, and they'll be ready for anything. 26. Now let me tell you about nature's multivitamin that time forgot, dried seaweed. Japanese researchers recently made headlines with their discovery of intact edible seaweed in ancient temple storage jars that were 1,000 years old. Modern studies have revealed something even more amazing. Just one sheet of high-quality dried seaweed contains significant amounts of iodine, a crucial nutrient for thyroid function that is often missing in standard long-term food storage items like rice and beans. A pro tip most preppers do not know is to mix different types of seaweed in your stockpile, such as nori, wakame, and dulse, as each brings unique mineral profiles. Plus, seaweed is considered one of the most environmentally sustainable emergency foods you can store.
27. Let's talk about the tiny seeds that powered ancient civilizations, chia seeds. These were not just any seeds. They were so valuable that ancient warriors used them as high-energy rations during long campaigns. Modern science finally caught up to this ancient wisdom when researchers discovered that chia seeds maintain their impressive omega-3 fatty acid content far longer than fish oil supplements, which go rancid quickly. A single tablespoon packs a massive nutritional punch of healthy fats and fiber. But here is the real secret that changed the prepping game. Vacuum-sealed chia seeds stored in amber glass containers to block light can maintain their nutritional powerhouse status for many years. Plus, they're shelf-stable without any artificial preservatives, making them nature's own little miracle food. 28. Let's get real about raw oats for a minute. You know what is mind-blowing? Some large organizations with massive food storage programs have tested their 30-year-old oat reserves and found almost perfect nutritional retention. We're talking about a superfood that literally defies time. But here's the secret most people miss. It is all about the type of oat. Go for steel-cut oats or whole oat groats, never instant or quick oats. Why? Steel-cut oats are less processed, meaning the protective bran is more intact, which helps prevent the natural oils from going rancid. They pack a serious nutritional punch of fiber, protein, and essential vitamins. Store them in food-grade buckets with airtight lids and oxygen absorbers. This is not just about survival, it's about maintaining health during a crisis. 29. Now let me geek out about molasses for a second. This is not just an old-fashioned baking ingredient. Recent studies show that blackstrap molasses contains more iron than almost any other natural sweetener. We're talking about a significant percentage of your daily iron needs in just 1 tablespoon. But here's what's truly impressive. Molasses also packs significant amounts of magnesium, potassium, and calcium. During historical hard times like the Great Depression, families actually used molasses as a daily supplement to prevent malnutrition when other foods were scarce. That is historical wisdom worth remembering. A storage tip that changes the game is to transfer store-bought molasses to glass bottles with swing-top lids. The airtight seal prevents crystallization, and thick glass blocks light degradation. Keep it in the coolest, darkest part of your pantry. 30. Finally, let's talk about apple cider vinegar, often called ACV. We're not just talking about the trendy health fad aspects here. ACV with the mother, that cloudy blob of beneficial bacteria and yeast at the bottom, is a preservation powerhouse. The mother contains dozens of different probiotic strains. Recent studies show it can help support digestion and gut health, which is crucial in stressful situations with limited diets. Here's a hack. Mix equal parts ACV and raw honey for an immune-boosting tonic called an oxymel that never expires. The combination creates a powerful synergistic relationship between the beneficial compounds in both. Keep this mix in amber glass bottles to protect it. The real magic happens when you combine several of these items. Imagine soaking raw oats overnight in water with a splash of ACV, then warming it up and stirring in a spoonful of molasses and a sprinkle of dried berries. You've just created a nutrient-dense meal that costs pennies and could be made entirely from items sitting in your pantry for decades. Just remember that quality matters. A good philosophy is to store what you eat and eat what you store, rotating through your supplies. These aren't just survival foods, they're everyday superfoods that happen to last forever. These 30 items represent not just survival security, but smart shopping and lasting value. Remember the storage golden rule. Keep things dark, dry, and sealed tight. Start gradually, build your stockpile over time, and you will secure your family's future without breaking the bank.